We'll go ahead and call the October board meeting of the Burleigh County Water Resource District to order. Wendy, take roll call, please.
Manager Mitchell.
Here.
Manager Reed.
Here.
Manager Jones.
Here.
Manager Smith.
Here.
Chairman Landenberger.
Here, we have a quorum. We will continue with the meeting this morning. Moving on to item 2, approval of last month's meeting minutes. Any changes to the minutes?
Move to approve.
Okay. Got a motion by Manager Jones and a second by Manager Smith to approve last month's meeting minutes as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Moving on to item 3, amendments and approval of the agenda this morning. Anybody have any? I have a couple changes. Anybody else got any this morning additions? Under new business, I'd like to add meeting agenda notification, kind of the communication protocol for us as a board, and then as well as the December board meeting, changing that date to see the date we currently have right now. It overlaps with the Dakota Water Users Conference that December. I think it's 10th, but so we'll look at see if we can change that.
Mr. Chairman, I would add one little subtopic to that particular item too. So
okay, about the water users.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Just some information from water users board meeting.
Kind of update. Okay. Anything else? If not, we can
move to approve as amended.
Second.
get a motion by Manager Smith and a second by Manager Reeve to approve the agenda as amended this morning. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Ayes have it. Agenda is approved. Move on to item 4, comments from members of the public for items specific to the Burleigh County Water Resource District business that are not on the agenda this morning. Okay, not seeing any. We can move on to McDowell Dam this morning. Dave, you want to start with you this morning? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Landenberger and managers. I guess update at McDowell Dam. Things are going well. Cross-country meets abound.
Yeah.
We have a lot, I think 16 this year? 16 cross-country meets this year.
16 meets.
Yep.
Wow, that's incredible. I hear it's just a favorite of.
Yes,
yeah.
that's what I've heard too, is that it's one of the most popular locations in the state for high school and college. So it's going well out there for that. Vehicle counts for last month are 13,795, and the trail counter has been adjusted, and we have a valid number this time of 1320. So good to see that working again. Update, we did have to pull all the docks a little bit early, but staffing-wise, we're kind of running on fumes as far as having David pretty much a one-man show at this point, so he had some staffing, and so in anticipation of that, they did have to get pulled maybe a few weeks earlier than normal, but nothing too far out of the normal. We'd get into that point where we got to start buttoning things up for the year. So the playground project is about 97% done. In that range. They have a little bit of concrete to pour, some backfilling, and then we need to do our final inspection, make sure the playground looks good. We do our park planner and I go through every new playground that is done in the park district and for the water resource district, and we do what's called the playground audit. We are both certified CPSI, certified playground inspectors. So we go through and we make sure that everything's taken care of, meets the standards and things like that before we say it's accepted finally.
You guys should have your own TV show.
Yeah, no, we don't need that. We don't need that. So we do go through that and make sure that everything's safe. And part of the requirements for the playground installation is that we make sure that the playground installer is a certified installer too, so they know those standards as well, and they make sure that everything meets that while they're installing. So we hold the installation to the highest highest standards. So we get a good product when we do new playgrounds. But that should be wrapped up here by the end of this week.
Okay.
And then we'll get that. We'll get out and try and get the audit as soon as possible because we know people will start wanting to use the playground right away.
Good.
I think that's it as far as the property itself. I did pass out a memo to the Water Resource District looking for support. And if you had an opportunity to read the memo that we sent, Dakota West Art Council has been a partner of the Park District for many years. We have a concert series with them. They hold concerts in Custer Park and down at General Sibley Park, and they've been looking to expand that and do something bigger. They, applied for what's called the Levitt Foundation Music Series Grant, and it's a national grant. And they went into competition with over, I think it was about 99 other locations for this grant, and they've made the finalist list. The location that we talked with them about that could had enough room for parking, had enough room for about 1,500 people was McDowell Dam. And we're looking between shelters 2 and 3 in that big lawn area next to the bathroom where the new playground just went is being installed for this venue. And the grant it's a 3-year grant, $32,000 each year to hold in that 3 years 8 concerts. So the money would go towards getting national, regional and trying to get regional and national acts in, and I think it would cover some of the like physical improvements that would be necessary if it was a temporary stage, or maybe some temporary electrical upgrades or a generator or things like that too. So I don't think it would cost. What I'm getting at is it wouldn't cost the Water Resource District money to get this to happen. Mm-hmm. That's what the grant was for. But they've made it to the finalist list, and in the memo we're looking for letters of support to kind of help bolster this grant application. So if the board sees fit, we would really appreciate your endorsement of it, or a letter of support for it.
Yeah.
But we're pretty excited about it to make it that far in this.
How many finalists are there? Do you know?
I think it went from 100 down to somewhere, I want to say 20 or 30, and I think the final 10 get the grant.
Oh, so there's 10 of them that get.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a 50% chance at this point.
Yeah, I think that's where it's at right now.
Okay.
Yep.
And you said 8 concerts over the 3 years.
Over the 3
Okay.
years, correct.
Yep. Okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve that we give the Park District a letter to attach to their application.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion by Manager Jones and a second by Manager Smith to essentially send in a letter of support for this grant for Bismarck Parks and Rec for the concert series. Any discussion on that? Any other thoughts? Any other questions or concerns? Okay, not hearing any. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Get that signed and sent over to you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that'd be great.
very interesting. I think it'd be another way to, promote the park too and get people out there and see it. I think I constantly get told that, when people actually get out there and visit the park, they're, kind of amazed. It might have been 10 years since the last time they were out there, and they get out there and see all the facilities and the shape it's in. And so it really kind of is something that we should continue to promote. So appreciate all the hard work and everything you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any updates on the insurance stuff? I know there was some.
Oh,
You and I
yeah,
were kinda
good
corresponding.
question. We did approve both the shingle and the metal roof replacement projects. Better Roofing Contracting is the contractor doing the metal roofing, and 5 Star Roofing is doing the shingles.
Okay.
Shingle replacement. They both should get going here pretty quick. We know that we've talked with both of them about coloring and ordering the colors of the shingles and the color of the metal. So they should be getting materials ordered here pretty quick, and hopefully get out there in the next week or so to start doing that work.
Okay.
One quick question, are these regular shingles or are they metal shingles?
They are asphalt shingles. So it's replacing so the 4 shelters in the park and then the Aero Club's shelter. They're all asphalt shingles, so it's replacing them with asphalt. Yep.
Very good. Okay. Any other questions for Dave this morning? Okay. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we can move on to item A under McDowell Dam there, the supplemental water supply. Just as an update, the one easement has been recorded. The other one, we were still kind of in the discussions. I did get received a phone call back from Mr. Anderson last Monday. Yeah, and spoke with him a little bit on the phone, and he had some modifications or changes he was looking at to the easement documents and kind of questioning some things. So we put together the letter that's in your packet, and that has been then certified mail delivered to him. I believe it's been delivered now.
Yeah, it's hard to say with the post office, but their tracking system, but if it's delivered and he signs for it, then they'll record it. If he has not signed for it, he may have received it. I mean, it's kind of one of those funky things, so we're not exactly sure. Probably going to have to make a phone call to him and confirm that he actually received it, so.
Okay. And you can see in the letter, it's on page 6 in your packet there, the things he was bringing up. He was wondering about the easement width and if we could reduce that. And I talked to him about that, about the need to have some width, just if we ever had to go back in there and make a repair. If we don't have that ability to get back in there and have enough width to make that repair, then we're in the negotiation phase of get him trying to get an easement. And then he was wondering about the duration of the easement as well, the 99 years, and then whether or not this additional water supply would have any potential impact to his property specifically. And talked to Michael, and he talked about it and got back to me and said no, that there wouldn't be any additional impacts there. Then he had just some general provisions that were in those easement documents that he was wondering if we could remove, and he over the phone, he wasn't very specific about it. So in the letter, we're saying, let's go ahead and try to set a meeting date within the next 15 days so we can get together and we can walk through those and hopefully answer any other questions he might have, and hopefully get this thing signed. So, Dave, anything else?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think on the agenda, there's a notice of special meeting.
Mm-hmm.
If the board wants to do that, we can discuss further what these next steps are.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Dave. Other than that, Michael, anything on regarding the grant application?
Yeah, as it turns out now, and I don't remember the exact date, the Outdoor Heritage Fund has a November submittal timeline. I guess my recommendation, given the status of the easement, is that we would, to the board, is to prepare the application and submit it under the pretense that the easement's going to be secured. And if for some reason the easement's not secured, you can let the Outdoor Heritage Fund know status, and then if they want to further consider it with that process in place, to go ahead and do that. But I believe that application, is that due November 1st?
Yeah, November 1st, I believe that's a Saturday, so effectively the Friday before, we gotta get it done.
Okay.
That last week in October.
So the scenario is we would look to the board for authorization at this meeting to actually submit that grant, because it would be submitted prior to your next board meeting.
Yeah.
So moved.
Yeah, I don't know if we even need a motion, probably just consensus of the
Right.
board. Let's go ahead and move
Whatever.
forward with that. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
If you're
Mike.
okay with that, then we'll proceed along that line. Travis has already been working on some background information and updating some things, so we can do that.
Okay.
So we're in process, and now it's just a matter of getting online and filling out the form as before.
Okay,
So, okay?
thank you.
And one more thing, James, for that
Yeah.
application, I think it'll also need, like the previous one, you need to get on there to just essentially acknowledge it as, they need to see you as the representative of the owner make a quote modification to the application, just so that essentially you're aware of the content of what's in there, and that you acknowledge and accept that application going forward, because it's being done on behalf of the Water Resource District. So, we've done that before, and I think you could probably have access. I think if you remember your account info, you can get in there and log into it, to just go in there and essentially access it, so that it recognizes that you were in there and then concur with that application. So
Okay.
Right. In essence, Mr. Chairman, since he didn't get recorded on the TV. It's basically the Water Resource District will have to go in and acknowledge the grant application on the form just to validate that submittal.
Okay.
And we've been through that process before, so,
Okay,
thank you.
yep. Very good. Anything else on McDowell Dam this morning?
No, that's all.
Okay. All right, we can move on to financial reports this morning. Manager Reed?
And Mr. Chairman, board members, on pages 8 and 9 are the balance sheets for the month of September. I'll go through some of the details, and we'll talk a little bit about some changes that have occurred here. So started the month with $1,912,644.79 in our checking account. We paid bills in the amount of $44,154.88. Income in the amount of $8,776.45, which included real estate tax and state aid, a minor amount of special assessments collection, and another minor amount of interest. It does check out what you see on your balance sheet does include a new line item called taxes receivables. If you see that, it's $13,208.28, and our understanding, Wendy's understanding, is that that is past tax collections that were unable to be collected from previous years back to 2021, 2020. I'm not sure exactly, but accountants are asking, or our auditors are asking us to include that as a line item. So the numbers add up. One thing this balance sheet in front of you does not show is the income from the Bavera Wealth account. We didn't get that in time to get that included, but that is slightly north of $8,000 for the month of September. So you can add about $8,000 on top of that. And related to that, the money market rate as of October 1st is actually about 0.14 of a percentage point lower than it was in the past. So I guess my thought is we'll continue to monitor that, and if it continues to move farther south, and we start looking at other options. But right now it's 4.13. And then you take the 0.25 off that for management. It's 3.88 net. So still good for a liquid account, obviously, but something to monitor, I would suggest.
Okay.
Did I miss anything, Wendy, that I needed to bring up?
One little correction, couple little things. The taxes receivable isn't necessarily a new thing. We've had that on there before.
Oh, my bad.
Below the fixed assets, you'll see two accounts under other assets, certified special assessments and uncertified special assessments. These are the two accounts that the auditors have asked us to add. And this is everything we have certified over the next few years to collect for special assessments. So the certified portion is what we'll collect in the next year. The uncertified is everything else.
Okay.
So for example, the Hogue Island one we just had in place last year. Everything that that is for 2024 is in certified. Everything else is in uncertified.
Okay.
Okay, so she just, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Jay.
No, no.
And when we do receive the funds, they'll go into these accounts instead of into income.
Perfect. Makes sense. Yep. We've talked about this before during some of our budget meetings about how maybe separate bucket those, so this is good. Okay.
So yeah, thanks for that clarification, Wendy. Appreciate it. With that, I'd move approval of the balance sheet as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion by Manager Reap and a second by Manager Jones to approve this month's balance sheet. Any discussion, questions? Not hearing or seeing any. Wendy, take roll call vote on that motion, please.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Manager Reap,
Yes.
Manager Jones.
Yes.
Manager Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Landenberger.
Yes, motion passes.
Chairman, similarly, the profit and loss statement on pages 10 and 11 of your agenda book, gone through those briefly. I believe they're to be correct, so I'd move approval as presented.
Second.
Excuse me, Chairman Landenberger, one note on those. I have not had time to go through and move the assessments from 25. Those need to be moved to those receivable accounts, so
Oh.
the income will drop.
Okay. That makes sense, yep. Okay.
That'll be on next month.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, got a motion by Manager Reap and a second by Manager Jones to approve this month's profit and loss statement. Any comments, questions, discussion on that? Besides what Wendy brought up? Okay, not hearing any. Wendy, take a roll call vote, please.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Manager Reap,
Yes.
Manager Jones,
Yes.
Manager Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Landenberger.
Yes, motion passes. Okay, we did add the 2026 budget in there. Dennis, any updates on that, or Commissioner? Nothing?
No
Okay.
changes, so we're basically status quo from this year to next year, so
Okay,
Good.
roughly.
yeah, very good. Okay. That's it for financial reports. We can move on to item 7 this morning, drainage permits and complaints. River Road, I think we're just waiting again for dry out a little bit. And
Yeah.
Keelboat Park, Michael, anything
Yeah,
updated there?
update on that one. I did have another conversation with the, and it goes back to, I think it's on here, Dave Chiter's issue. I did visit with the DWR relative to that particular area and the easements that we found and the lack of information that we found. Bottom line is we've had a conversation or communication with Jen Verlinger, who's the new council. And we visited briefly online on a Teams meeting, and I will be providing that memo to her. That was kind of the request, that the memorandum, because it's a request from them, would go to them, and then it would be copied to the board.
Okay.
So I'll go through that process, and it's providing the background relative to the operation, or the operation and maintenance of the bank stabilization facilities along that park. They're currently providing an adequate easement in their new plats and development, but the O&M requirements are still undetermined.
Okay.
So they'll want legal review of that.
Is that memo coming from Houston, or is that from?
Well, it'll actually come from us to you, but the state wants a copy of it,
I
which
gotcha.
obviously
Okay.
they will get one.
That makes sense, yep.
And then along with, Jen was happy that we were gonna provide all the documentation that we found that goes with that, so she can do her review of that data.
I imagine as projects like this happen, this is gonna be a continuous thing, looking at these easements and understanding.
Yes, it will be, and I'll just caveat this, and going forward, the state is considering doing a sovereign lands line determination along the Missouri River from somewhere around Bismarck Expressway all the way down through Sibley. There was an OHWM evaluation done at one point in time, which I'm pretty sure you're aware of. But they're looking at it, and they're saying there's a number of changes along the river. There's a number of things that are happening. There's plats that are being going in the river that really shouldn't be. So they're trying to get their arms around the development side of what's going on. There's also discussion of island formations versus, in other words, if an island accreted to the bank, it's still the state's.
Right.
So there are property ownership issues in that corridor that they are now going to be doing an in-depth review on.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
Quick question. Any idea when they're going to actually do this, Mike?
they're talking about next year. They'll put an RFP on the street here probably, later this fall, and then get the engineer and the technical people on board to do the analysis next year, which probably will be this time next year before you get any final report, because the extent of that review is going to be pretty in-depth based on the issues that are out there.
It'd be interesting at the water users, we have that training to have like a sovereign lands,
It would be.
ordinary high water mark kind of training session with Department of Water Resources. I mean, it's very technical, and the
Right.
things overlap, but they're also very separate, and it may be something that the water districts could benefit from.
Yeah, the interesting context to that, and I'll just share a little bit more of the discussion. There are issues with the Souris River in, Ward County. There are issues with other sovereign lands. And this is kind of an ongoing thing that's out there. Very few people really understand what the sovereign lands are. And the state of North Dakota is looking at determining sovereign lands in some other cases. So if nothing else, it's significant interest to any number of water resource districts, but a general interest of all of them, so.
Right.
Yeah, it's always controversial.
Yeah.
It is always,
So-
yeah. But I think,
It would be interesting.
equipping your districts and the members with some more information never hurts. That way they're a little bit more knowledgeable on these topics, but, yeah. Okay, thanks, Michael.
Yep.
Next item there, on a Hawk Tree, HOA, any discussion?
Yeah, a couple things
Chuck?
on that one, and I apologize, I didn't get my profile sent out. It's fairly clear on the analysis of the LiDAR that the roadway ditch did not get constructed per the stormwater management plan. So it goes back to the developer not having done that. It goes back to the county, not necessarily the overviews that were occurring at that point in time. The other context that's out here, that little fly in the ointment, if you want to call it that, is a standpoint that it's a city stormwater management plan adopted and approved by them prior to the consultation with the counties. But now with the ETA discussion, that stormwater management plan will now be under the county's purview. So, I mean, we have to have a discussion on how that all plays out.
Yeah. Casey, morning.
Morning, Casey Ingram with Burleigh County Highway Department. Just kind of an update on this. We received a call from I think it's the HOA's engineer, A. Ballmer with ISIL.
Yep.
And it sounds like they were able to come to an agreement with Hawk Tree Golf Course to obtain an easement through their driving range. So they are currently working on the plans and an amendment to the stormwater management plan to put a culvert underneath the road, and then it will take all the water basically north and drain it through the natural drainway that was there before the roads were done. Perfect. So that's kind of where they're at. We haven't seen a recorded easement. We haven't seen anything submitted yet. I hadn't even had a chance to talk to we got that call a little bit later. Been busy with some ETA stuff, but that was just the latest update we had on that.
Would the HOA pay for that installation of that culvert, or is that?
I'm not for sure if the HOA is or Cam Knutson is, because he's involved in part. I don't know how financially they're going to work it out, but it sounds like there's a positive resolution moving forward. So.
Hey, it worked.
Okay.
The process worked.
So sometimes waiting
Right.
or delays are beneficial. I would ask one thing, Casey, from the standpoint of an amended stormwater management plan, since that takes time, and you're now in the ETA or not ETA, the stormwater management plan can look the same, but it's a question of who approves it.
So on that, how even with the ETA in process, we've worked with the city. Anything in the ETA, the highway department gets, we just go through it. We inform the city. A few years ago, we just said we're taking over, and we'll go through it and we'll do the final formal approvals, but we'll go through the whole parts. Then we'll actually go out and check everything, make sure it's actually done according to the stormwater management plan. If it's not, you're going to have to remove and replace it out there, or you're going to have to amend the stormwater management plan again to prove it actually works. So we've put some guards in, as we've just learned over time on there. So to us, it was ETA or not ETA. That's the last 2 days have been very interesting on that. But we just got to the point, it doesn't matter if it's there or not. We're just going to deal with it because we're the ones out there every day anyways.
So I think, Mr. Chairman and Casey appreciate the update and their willingness to do that. We'll probably prepare just a brief memo of our findings and not necessarily make a recommendation, understanding that there's a resolution in there. That way the documentation's there
We did receive an official complaint,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So we got to get to that closure point.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's basically, we would prepare that memorandum relative to that and say the solution's being worked on or whatever. In a final statement, we would document, our findings relative to that. I did visit with Bill Brown about what our findings were out there, and that it didn't comply with the original plan, and that probably spurred the discussion to where, we need to go forward and do something, which is great. So, but we'll close that up, and Casey, when you get the stormwater submittals, just share them with me and just for the record. So
at this point, in order to close the complaint, would we have to essentially wait till this culvert's installed, or could we?
I think the issue would be to wait until you have a formal decision that culvert's going in.
Okay.
You might be able to do it, just say, it's closed
Yeah.
pending a
Yep.
successful stormwater management plan amendment and a successful approval of everything done. Because we always send them a letter saying
Right.
it's installed, you have done it in accordance with the plan. So you could just do
Yep.
it pending on
We can
those
handle
two
that next
items.
month then.
Right,
Put that on the agenda for next month then.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
got it.
Yep.
Thanks, Casey.
Yep.
Okay, any updates, Mike, on the Mike Cook?
Yeah, on that one, we did finish out a potential special assessment district. I visited with you, James. I think we should have you and somebody else come to the office and have a conversation as to what that looks like, so that you can come back with a formal recommendation as to how the board might proceed with that information.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of complicated, and to the point, it may set a precedent for some of the other things. So I think it requires one additional discussion with two board members to step through that process.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on that from the board? Okay. Last item there, the Chase DeWitt's, the letter I
Yep,
assume was.
the letter has been sent.
Yep.
The
So I
approval
think-
letter's out there, along with the notification letters that were required to go with that.
Okay. Curious, Chet, have you had any correspondence with them at all, just making sure all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed from our end?
The last correspondence I had with them was when they resubmitted that updated permit with the last couple of bits of information that we're seeking on that, and I spoke with, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was working for Chase DeWitt's to help get this completed, and he tracked down a couple of things and then sent that to me, and then I told him, I looked it over, I said, looks like that satisfies what we needed, and then after that, I haven't spoken with him because it looks like we've got it all, and then I sent it off to you guys for your review. And then on that application, if you notice, there's a spot on there for you to sign as the Water Resource District, basically indicating that you concur and accept this application, and then from there, we send it on to the state, so once I get your signature on that, then we can forward that a whole packet to the state for them to essentially just put in their books, just to note that this system is being installed, and so that they've got it recorded.
I think we can just put my electronic
Yeah.
on there from your guys' end. And
Yep.
Yeah, and I was basically waiting for this meeting to
Yep.
do that.
Okay. I think we kind of already had approval for that, right? From
Yes.
last month's meeting, so I think, we're ready to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would suggest, Travis, maybe just reach out by phone if you can and just touch base, make sure they know everything.
Let them know that we accepted it and we're moving it forward and that it's all,
Sometimes the mail takes
Right.
weeks,
Yeah.
yeah, I can do that.
It was emailed to him as well,
Okay.
so he received it in email.
Yeah, they've been very good to work with, and, the understanding on this whole process, that they just have to take these couple of steps to complete this, and then they can proceed with their project.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Travis.
Yep.
Can that be closed?
Yeah, so essentially that one can be closed now. Yes. Yep,
That could be.
okay. We can, if nothing else under drainage permits and complaints, we can move on to item 9 this morning, projects. Michael, you have, I think, an update under Hogue Island with another landowner.
Yeah, a couple of things. The access easement revisions, I think I let you know before, there is a individual out there who's buying a lot on Hogue Island. As it turns out, that lot is stabilized by a Section 32 project. So I let them know that. If they're gonna maintain it or do anything, I gave them kind of the background as to what they may need to do relative to that. So I do not know if they proceeded with purchase, but they don't need new permits to do stuff. They just need authorizations.
What's the proximity to the project we just completed?
It's north about 6 or 8 lots.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is
About right.
It's close.
close, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all it is, it's already fully stabilized. It's in fairly good shape. They were just wondering, if we buy this lot, what's our obligation and responsibility for this particular piece? Can we go in and put more? Do we need permits, et cetera? So we just gave them the protocols for the
Perfect.
Section 408 and floodplain development permits, et
I
cetera.
commend them for reaching out and asking those questions.
Yeah.
Good.
Secondary to that, obviously, Dave Chider owns property on the north end of Hogue Island and north of Hogue Island. He has 2 particular locations. Dave, being aware of what goes on with the Water Resource District, again reached out and said, hey, I've got this issue out here. It's in your easement, it's on the structure, where are we gonna go with it? There's 2 parts. One is, basically it's on the north end of Hogue Island. He owns a lot, and between he and the neighbor, there's a big slump hole. In other words, the water has come in under the rock, and the rock has basically fallen. And he needs to put material in that to restore it and bring it back up. Doesn't look like there's any damage yet, but obviously if it continues, there's that risk. It is a Section 32 project. Dave kind of wants to proceed. He's had conversations with DWR, as have I. Obviously, he needs a 408 permit from the Corps, authorization from this board to work within the easement and on that project, as well as a sovereign lands permit. Talking to DWR, they said, you know, because of its proximity, project, et cetera, and their involvement in the O&M, they should have that as well. It sounds as though Dave has already prepared those permits previously, but they've never been approved. So there's that context out there. I'm going to touch on the second one, then come back to a jurisdictional question. The second one is to the north. It's south of the South Central water intake. There's a little cutback area in there that he wants to put some material in. That's independent. That does not have a Section 32 permit or Section 32 project. It's in the area, so it's covered under an easement, but it's not a structure itself. So there's two independent projects. He would need a separate application and permit for that one as well. Understanding that he's submitted, and talking to DWR anyway, that he's submitted an application to them and the Corps, but the Corps is looking for additional information to approve that. So in the context of both of these, representing the Water Resource District and advising him of the permit requirements and regulatory issues, we believe he's going to need some technical assistance to complete those applications. And if the board doesn't have any issues, we'd be willing to represent him. But we don't, full disclosure, we don't want to get any conflicts of interest relative to that. But obviously, we are not his engineer at this point. We're just advising him relative to the board's and Corps permit requirements. So,
Thoughts from the board on that?
I mean, our capacity would just be to, in a comment capacity, and most of our comments are going to be pretty benign, I would suggest. We'll rely on the state and the Corps to, you know, manage those properties. So I guess I don't see anything.
I don't see any conflicts either.
okay. And then, like I said, Travis and I have talked about that, and he can get back to Dave. And could Dave do it himself? He probably could, but I'm looking at it from the regulatory process. Sometimes those things get a circular pattern unless you put them together properly to start with. So if he's willing to have us assist that, we would do that. So appreciate
Okay.
it.
Good. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay. We can move on to the Apple Creek slide.
Okay, on that one, the instrumentation is showing minor nominal movements that are within the tolerance of the inclinometers. So at this point, one could argue there's no movement. We have a quarterly report that is due. We have all the costs that were put together. I do have access online to that quarterly report, and before the 15th, I will finish that. I have started a little bit, but I just have not finished it. So that quarterly report will go in, as well as a request for reimbursement under the grant.
Okay.
So
When was the last time those values were checked regarding those meters?
I believe just last week. They've been checked, if not twice, 3 times.
Okay. And the reason why I ask is we've gotten considerable rain just in the last 3 to 4 weeks. So if there's going to be movement, it would
You're going
be
to see some.
right after
Yeah.
those rains. So I would think so.
I can double check. Wes is going to be giving me, periodic weekly updates.
Okay.
So
Good.
we'll close our fingers and say that hopefully it has not moved, and we can go on. From the status of non-movement, if you will, that does still bring up the question at some point down the road relative to how to stabilize that portion based on the current cracks and stuff that are going on out there. If it's not moving, I don't know that there's any need to do anything, but there may be a desire to have that discussion. In fact, I'm not so sure if there isn't movement that there'll be a grant to do anything out there for stabilization purposes.
Right.
So, anyway, just background.
Well, just thinking moving forward, go ahead.
Well, do we have a historical record of what's happened out there in the past?
Not, the historical record is basically what happened very recently.
Okay.
So, we know that there's been movement over the years, geologically, if you want to call it that, but the only real record we have is within the last couple of years.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, just thinking long-term, what sort of plan we want as a board to maybe work with the county to kind of continue to monitor this, and if Casey's group's willing to drone that once a year or something, we could discuss later, but.
They're currently doing it once a month now.
Would that could continue for, okay, very good. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other updates or questions on Apple Creek? If not, we can move on to item C. This be pretty quick, but in your packet there on items 12 through 21 is the Burnt Creek assessment that we will need to approve today and submit to the Burleigh County Auditor so they can get it in for next year. So, Michael, any changes or it's pretty much the same?
As is typical, going through the GIS system, there's some lot splits that occurred.
Sure.
There was one property that got completely delisted from the GIS. We went back through Tessa Knutson with the auditor's office, and they've corrected that and gave us the information on the lot split. So that's all in there. There's always a minor shift in acreage.
Sure.
Because of the, it's based on the GIS system. It's not based on pure survey. So all those adjustments are incorporated in here, and that's the revenue that you have for this year. I know long-term we've been discussing at some point in time there'll be sufficient monies to pay the bond off, and then do you continue the assessment? Those are items that are out there to continue to be reviewed in the next year or so.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? If not, we'll need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion by Manager Jones and a second by Manager Smith to approve the Burnt Creek assessment and send in the information to the Burleigh County Auditor.
It'll go out today.
What's that?
It'll go out today.
Go out today?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions or comments, discussion on that item? If not, Wendy, take roll call vote, please.
Manager Mishel?
Yes.
Manager Reed?
Yes.
Manager Jones?
Yes.
Manager Smith?
Yes.
And Chairman Landenberger?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we can move on to other old business this morning. I don't know if Mitch, any updates regarding the Burleigh County CRS this morning? Good morning, Mitch.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chair Landenberger. We did get a letter corresponding to the CAV visit from Matt Lafferty. We also had an invite to do a Teams meeting. No decision has been reached. It's just we're still reviewing some of the records and that sort of thing. It was, but I haven't heard back. I think they may not be working. I don't know.
Oh, sure.
So
Yeah.
I haven't heard back. So that's where we're at, and we're going to set up a Teams meeting to move it
Okay.
forward. So.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Any questions for Mitch on that?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
There was a meeting last night on the ETA, and since Mitch is standing right there, can you give us an update on what they did and what they accomplished, if anything?
This is for your next item?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I have to leave in 10 minutes. I
Yeah,
just want to
it's
make sure.
basically the next item, so certainly, yeah, if we want to discuss that, if Mitch or Casey or Michael, if anybody's got any updates on that, we can move into that topic.
Yeah, last night no decisions were reached. There's the county has proposed a alternate map.
Oh, okay.
I can go get my computer and show you that if you want.
Do we want to get into that detail this morning, or?
I can stop up and look at it.
Yeah.
So how alternate is it? Is it?
Yeah.
So what the alternate that was proposed is basically the ETA is eliminated to the city limits. There's lots within the city that aren't annexed into the city. Washington and 43rd on the northeast corner is a good example. That's probably going to be annexed before too long, but there's little lots like that. There's probably 15-ish in there. The proposal was to basically the county then runs the process, takes over. And we would still use all of their sanitary sewer studies, their water main studies, storm sewer. There's a lot of really good information, and it's in the best interest of Burleigh County and City of Bismarck to be able to move forward. So there's a brief discussion last night. The mayor of City of Bismarck said the plan's basically a no-go if it's presented like that. He felt the city proposal would be more what they would want. They might come back in on a couple areas on the east side a little bit, but not very much. They feel that they have to have that him and his board. It sounded like they felt they have to have that portion. Steve Bach, one of our commissioners, he wanted to continue the discussions. We had meetings yesterday, Monday, going through there, talking with city staff. I thought we had pretty open discussions on each side's pros and cons. Then really we need, the board will make those types of decisions. We'll look through some of the, however it's decided, you got to transfer information, do different things. But the mayor of Bismarck was just, well, if we're that far apart, maybe they'll have to decide we'll just stay with the negotiated boundary or other parts, but we'll see how it moves forward from there.
So Mitch, what do you have up on the screen right now? Is that the?
That's the map that the commissioners asked to be presented at the meeting last night. It's the entire ETA.
Okay.
Which I'm more comfortable with than the map that they proposed.
So the red is what?
The red is the ETA that would be eliminated. The cyan color would still be ETA within city limits, because those are the unannexed lots. Okay. So it would make sense for the city to have jurisdictional control over that. As a county, we don't. Right. I would give them Bowie Drive in a heartbeat, but they don't want to plow gravel roads. So, but that's how it goes.
Okay. So more to come.
Yeah, definitely.
More meetings, more discussions.
Is this on a website yet? Somewhere?
The county website.
County website?
Yeah.
Well, certainly, Casey, Mitch, Commissioner, if there's anything that we can do as a board to offer up any insights or thoughts, let us know. We can.
Well, there's going to be other meetings too, so I think the Water Resource District should have a representative at those meetings.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's much more a shotgun approach what they're doing, I call it, but and we had that map and the two are negotiated together, but Water Resource is going to have some real potential problems of who pays for what and who does what, so I think they should have an input.
Kathleen and maybe somebody from.
Well, number one, the county has been doing this for a number of years, and the county's been paying for it.
Right.
I'm still waiting to find out the money that has been used there, and I have not obtained that figure
For stormwater?
Stormwater up there.
So we generated that when we gave it to the county commission. What we were asked for is just stormwater stuff. It wasn't specific to city or county, because there's some developments done in the 70s. Everything, that total dollar amount's about 5.6 million that we've spent with different drainage corrections, different things going through. And there's some, to be fair, there's some hot debate between how the city looks at that and how we look at that a little bit. One good example that we got a call on Monday after the weekend's rain on 71st and Moonstone Lane. The natural drain comes through 71st culvert, and the natural drain is right through somebody's yard. And they're sick and tired of being flooded, and they asked what we can do about it, and it was, well, we can, this year we just don't have the time, but we can look at, do we regrade the ditch on 71st down Moonstone Lane and take it all the way around? We just reroute everything through the ditch instead of, but even if I did that, if they don't build a substantial berm on the north side of their property of 3 to 4 foot in height, it's not going to do anything. So it's a process. We just got to work through the process with them. And that's something, since it's in the right of way, we just deal with. We don't. That's just parts that we figure out, and we work that into our budget where we can. On there, we're not trying to be mean to the Water Resource District. It's just, we see that's our issue as a highway department, and we just work through and deal with that. And there was no stormwater management plan back in 1975, so we really don't have to amend anything. So it's just figuring all of those things out. And I was going to talk with Mike about that later, in a little bit more detail. I don't know if they'll file a complaint or not, but we've told them we are going to address it. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah. So who's organizing these meetings that are occurring? Is that through the city, the county, both?
Mr. Chairman, the meeting yesterday is an ongoing, we have two Burleigh people, two Bismarck people, and it's not just to the ETA, this is all kinds of concerns that we're going to have down the road. So that's a minor, well, the ETA is going to be huge, and I don't know where we should stand on that, but we'll have more meetings. The next meeting is a joint full commission meeting. Last night it was only 4 there, but we've got one coming up, and I think it's the 17th. I'm not sure. I don't have my calendar. But it's.
Let me know.
Pardon me?
It's in 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
But I do think when that joint meeting, the Water Resource District should make a plea, or whatever you want to call it, a statement of where they're involved, the Water District, and whether they need to be involved. Because I think there's a lot of projects that are going to cost a lot of money down the road, and even the previous ones, you said, what, 5.9 million or something. Well, that's going to happen down the road, but we do have to come up with a policy statement more than anything else as to where the Water Resource District stands. If they don't do anything, well, if we don't do anything in this group.
And I feel we've been trying to represent, just as the highway department, we deal with that. For staff meetings, Mitch, me, and Marcus, and Dan, and city staff have been together a few times, talking through just a lot of them, the unexciting mechanics of administration and how that works. Going from there, then the mayor and Commissioner Bakken are on the joint committee, and Jason Tomanek, the city administrator, is on it, and Mark Smokowski's the auditor is on that. Then when it's the joint board, it's both boards, all 5 from each meeting together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, I don't want to speak for all the board members, but here, obviously, our jurisdiction footprint increase, it stands to reason where our budget's going to be, at some point, but it'd be a balance. We've worked really well with Burleigh County and the Highway Department and Casey and on these things over the years, so I'm not too overly concerned, but just that, there's definitely going to be some shifting of, authority and review and additional.
Yeah, because just currently in the ETA, if something comes into the city, it's submitted to the city, but really the highway department, we review it and we get very aggressive. After that, then when if it's something new being built, once it gets through the planning and zoning process, it reverts to our process and the county, and they have to build it out, and we check everything before they're even allowed to record the plat. So they can't even start selling lots until it's, okay, you meet the plan or you don't. That's the bar. If you can't meet the bar, it doesn't get recorded, you don't get to sell lots. And they're in a hurry because they've built roads, gravel, asphalt, chip seal, all the culverts. They're ready for some influx of cash at that point. They're really chomping to get it. We also check all the erosion control, seeding, everything's done. So over the last 10 years, we've really amped up that process of how that goes. You don't see rural subdivisions in the ETA hardly at all anymore. I think Last Chance Subdivision was that, and that's why they ended up calling it that one. So, yeah, so it's far more urban going through there. So we're just not seeing that. So the areas that are in the ETA that are existing subdivisions, a lot of them have been around for quite a while. We know what the issues are. You guys know what the issues are. You've had the complaints, the different challenge areas that are out there. So it's when a new complaint comes in, it's just a process. If it's in the highway right away, we just take care of it and go from there. If it's something different, such as Midwest Motors or Midwest Industrial Park over there, not Midwest Motors, wrong one. the Metro Industrial Park, out by the airport. That's where, once it gets out of the right of way, we're getting stuck a little bit, and then we try to work through the process at that point. But it's areas like that, you guys are very familiar with them, and the different challenges that come with them.
So, curious, the development north of by, that we were kind of talking and discussing for quite a while, I can't remember the name of that additional development off River Road up north of, there was all the iterations on the modeling and the.
Summit Point.
I mean, is that a good example? Because was that outside the ETA or within the ETA?
That one was actually outside the ETA.
That one was, okay.
Because what we found is rural subdivisions, it's very hard to make 1.5 acre lots pencil out anymore that close to the city. So even in Summit Point, they have a group of smaller lots that are going to be more townhomes, and they have an individual sanitary sewer system, and then they have a mix of rural subdivision lots. And that's just to try and generate the mountain. When you look at what they're selling lots for, you're talking $250,000, $350,000 for a lot, and then you're putting on houses with we don't care about covenants, but the covenants is, you're probably talking $750,000 house on top of that. Going through there, we've just found it's very hard to get that to pencil out to be able to make money. You have to be very good at what you're doing in development to make it work. We've seen them further out, maybe getting in there, but even like a 110th, 26, that had 0.2 acre lots, and that ended up getting voted down on there. So in the ETA, it's really hard just to financially make a subdivision like that work anymore. It's the financials just get to a point you're going to have urban density to make it work out.
Okay, a couple of things, Mr. Chairman. I put together some observations which you have in your packet. There are going to be impacts. I think, Casey, what's happened since 2011 with what the county's been doing, their collaboration with the city has worked really well. I watched a couple of the meetings. I was taken aback a little bit by the complaints relative to the ETA, because a lot of the permitting requirements are required in the ETA and or the county. So there's pointing fingers that are just out there. The other aspect of the ETA is not the reason why you can't afford to pencil out in the ETA.
That's right.
It's the cost of the property.
Yeah.
And that is driven by market. So just as a clarification. But I think, this board, and Casey, you've brought a couple of issues to the board and said, hey, it's off our right-of-way, looking at the Water Resource District to assist in that. I'm not going to say you're going to have more of that with this change. You may or may not. But I'm thinking this leads to the discussion of policy or this board, where this board gets involved to assist the county highway department to do things, that's off right away. It's been kind of a quasi, handshake. We just deal with the issues as they come up. There may need to be a more detailed discussion. I do believe that the ETA changes I've kind of put out in the observations will have an ultimate cost to the county. I don't know what those costs are. I look at the 5.6 million of, if you want to call it, corrections that are out there. I don't necessarily see those reoccurring because of the current collaboration process that's going on. So we're avoiding, the entities are avoiding those costs. But as an example with Mitch here, I mean, obviously, if he's going to have a whole bunch more floodplain issues to address, there's permitting requirements, there's review requirements, becomes a staffing issue on his perspective. So my observations are in there. Be happy to attend the meetings if you would want us to be there. So.
Is there any other interest? Kathleen, you spoke up wanting to attend. Is there any other interest from any of the other board members attending?
I'm comfortable with Kathleen.
Yeah, I am too. And then I think it's somebody from maybe Michael or Travis or somebody.
It'll be one of the two of us. I've got a number of things on schedule in November that I'm going to be gone for. So
okay.
I will not make the November meeting. Might as well just say that now because I'm going to be.
Would you pass on to whomever
Yes.
sends out?
Yeah.
That?
We'll carry that information and assign it internally if I'm unable to be there.
Just for your information, the city wants this resolved quickly.
Sure.
They want it done by end October. But I'm not kidding. this is the most gas I've ever seen on the ETA hit ever. I've been doing it over 20 years. When we renegotiated the boundary in 2014, it took a long time to get through everything. City staff has been directed, go right now, get it done immediately, and it's been a scramble. So
no reason for doing it immediately.
I think the biggest part for the city is they feel they're getting all those complaints and they're saying 95% of the people who live in the ETA will just take you out. Then you can deal with the county. And Mitch has made it very clear the IBI building codes don't change. It's the same thing. Floodplain regulations, we actually do 500 year instead of 100 year. So I mean, Mitch has, I thought, been very clear, and the staff it would take is probably a net $250,000 is what it might be. There's some disagreement. Board members have said they don't agree with that. They think it'll, by the permit fees coming in, it'll be a wash. I mean, that's a valid point. Go through there. I mean, until you get into it, you're just, we're all trying to, okay, what's the worst case? What's the best case? And you're just trying to be prepared for it going from there. But if the city takes that out, a lot of people seen it and they're like, I'm out. I don't have to deal with city anymore. They're very happy. And our point was, for years, what's been generated is regulation without representation. You're taking the people out, but we're not addressing the problem. The problem still exists for all the undeveloped areas because you're still doing that. Let's look at how do we really change this has been what we've been trying to bring up, and we've had good discussions with staff on that part, and we'll see how commissioners end up voting and go from there.
And will we, the county, at some point inform the citizens of those changes once they're finalized?
Yeah, once there's a formal vote done,
Okay.
it'll have to be. I know when we talked with the city, they felt from a law opinion that they received from their city attorney is they can constrict the ETA if they choose. They don't have to have our approval for it. And we were, I can find an attorney too and get another opinion also. So I respect. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know, but there's a reason judges are there and courts are there, because attorneys have wildly different opinions sometimes on the same item. So.
Okay, thank you, Casey.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks, Casey.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, we look at Andrew Jones and somebody maybe from Houston to attend and
Yeah,
report back.
definitely. And it's October 17th, is it?
Yeah, I don't know what time on the 17th. I do have an
Thanks,
evening
Mitch.
meeting on the 17th, so I may not make it, but we'll brief Travis. And
Well,
Okay,
keep me in the loop.
yep.
all right. Nothing else on that topic, we can move on to.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, go ahead. Commissioner.
Since Mitch is here, we did get an estimate on what it would cost for the county to take over the city ETAs. It was over $500,000, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The cost to staff would be approximately $290,000. That's rough
Per year, right?
per year. These are problems that we're going to be taking over. There's 292 subdivisions, 12,000 parcels, 1,500 properties that are in the floodplain area.
1,500?
Yeah. And it's going to, it seems to me to be an unfair exchange. I asked for a justification of these properties. Why did you choose this subdivision and not the one right next to it? Why did you choose all these subdivisions and then take those out and leave all the undeveloped land? It's like they just took a wash and this is yours now.
They're not providing any reasons as to why?
Well, they said it's not part of their urban expansion currently. So it's For the county, it'd be a fine thing. I will do whatever our commission tells me to do. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just trying to lay everything out on the table, and that, to me, it's an unbalanced exchange. But then the city will tell you they don't have to give us anything. It's their ETA. So it's, yeah. And the people in the middle that aren't representative or angry, you know, but, I mean, like I said last night, it's going to be a mistake to think that this will not be a cost of Burleigh County.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be a
And
problem.
Mr. Chairman, a couple things since Mitch is at the podium. One of the ones who pointed out, and Casey mentioned that the difference between the 100-year jurisdiction and the 500-year jurisdiction and no basements in the county. There may be some rural residential subdivisions out there that they're, you know, in the floodplain. They will no longer be able to build basements, and that's a change to them. It's an impact to them. The other aspect of it is the CRS program is going to be even more important now, because there'll be people who will be put into the county floodplain who are going to lose their CRS exemption that they have through the city of Bismarck. So, and there's probably not a huge number of properties, but there'll be a number of properties where their insurance premiums are going to go up.
Correct. That they would be considered non-conforming then.
Potentially, yeah.
And then
So-
we'd have to, yeah. And I did talk to a fellow that he wanted to put an addition onto his house. The house is located in the 500 year, and I said, well, you would have to elevate that. If you moved into our jurisdiction, you would have to elevate that. In the city, it wouldn't. It can be the same level as what the house is. That's just one. So, I explained that there should be some kind of a forum or explanation of these to the people that live in the jurisdiction. You know, they don't understand the ETA. They don't understand the purpose of it. Yeah. They buy the property, they want to locate there because it's near the city, and all of a sudden they find that they're not in the city. They're in the city, or not in the county or in the ETA, so they don't really know. But sometimes you give people what they want to educate them, and they'll find out very quickly. But it's not a good practice. They should know, they should understand, some of these people that are complaining or want out completely, it's not going to change. And, you know, it was a discussion about how the city withholds development on some of these rural properties. They don't let them, you know, develop because they're not allowing them to develop the smaller lots. Well, it was possibly the same thing is going to happen if we take over that jurisdiction. We would tell them the same thing. And so these problems are going to go to the commission. And it's, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Mitch.
Yep.
Good discussion. More to come, for sure.
I'm afraid so.
Is that?
I'm afraid so.
Yeah. Okay, we will move on to new business. Those are the items we added to the agenda. I guess first one, meeting agenda notification. So I believe, Wendy, you received an email from county auditor?
From the county auditor stating that he would like to send out all of the agendas.
Okay.
So he asked me to send it to him and give him our list.
So then he wanted to add our list to his list?
Pretty much.
I think he's planning on sending for like all the county
Okay.
roads.
And did he give any indication as to why he felt he needed to do that? Okay, it was just a request at that point. Okay.
But,
Go ahead.
well, David, in the Century Code, doesn't it specify that the Water Resource District handle their own?
Mr. Chairman, that's correct. The presiding officer of any agency, this is under Chapter 44 of the Century Code. So, Mr. Chairman, you, as the presiding officer of this entity, has the responsibility, that's the word used, responsibility, to see that proper notice is given. I'm not aware of any other entity, individual, or agency that has that responsibility, only you do. So that, to me, that stands to reason that you and the board certainly have the discretion as to whether you need or want to share any mailing lists. Once those mailing lists go out, I mean, it's clearly public record.
Right.
So anyone can do whatever they wish That said, there may be logistical issues and other matters that relate to the board giving a specific list out to anyone else. Not that it's not public record, but it may interfere with that.
Yeah, my concern would be confusion, again,
Yeah.
of,
Yep.
we've kind of had a normal protocol, normal process of notifying for our meeting and who we send it to, and then where we place it, on our website and different things. And certainly if the county auditor wants to take our agenda and have their own list they want to send it to, they have that right. But to take our list and then try to make it that the county auditor is going to be the only one saying that out, just seems to go against everything that's in our century code as well as what we've done in the past. So I would agree. I just think it would start to confuse people as to why now is the county auditor sending out the agenda to our list anyway. That's my thought. But any of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, just a background, Mr. Chairman. Mary Sanger is email. In other words, this board has created a list of people that it sends its notice of meeting and agenda to. And there are people who specifically requested to be on that list. So kind of annually, you've had the opportunity to look at that list. There may be somebody who's requested it because their project was ongoing. They may not require it anymore. But it was this board sending it out to that list. Mary Sanger would take the agenda because she's on that list as the emergency manager, and she would post it on Facebook. The same thing is true for the county auditor. If he had a list that he wanted that notice to go to, he could, because I believe he's on our list, he would get it and then he could forward it.
Sure.
But the duplication of lists, we all get, I won't say how many hundreds of emails, but if we send it out or if this board sends it out and then he sends it out, there's going to be duplication. Or if there's a change in our list, then we need to coordinate, or you would need to coordinate with him relative to the change in the list.
And that's not required by century code.
Right, and when I look at the century code, as Dave shared, it's pretty straightforward that this board is in charge of its own notices, so.
Well, just thinking out loud here, what would the board think if I just maybe reached out to the county auditor myself and just had a conversation as to where this is coming from, and that, in my understanding, that I think everybody here is in consensus that at this point it's kind of our notification and we have our process that's dictated through century code, and that's what we've been doing, and I think we'd like to continue that process with our own list. And he's on that list, and if he wants to send it out after that to his own list, that's fine, but we don't want the duplication of lists at this point.
Yeah, just thinking about that out loud, you've got now he has a joint list, which is what it is. If he sends out to his list and there are duplications in our list, they're still going to get it twice, but at least under the century code, you're obligated to send out, or responsible as the term is, to send out to your own list. So there may be duplications still occurring, but the duplication's by choice, not by your direction.
Right, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so I will do that. I'll reach out and have a conversation with county auditor. Okay. Next item, the December board meeting does fall within the same week of the water users. So I kind of wanted to discuss this morning to see another date that might work for everybody. I believe.
What day does the water user start?
In a sense, I think our training is it the 10th?
It starts on the 9th, the evening of the 9th.
Evening of the 9th, but that.
10th and 11th is the main.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The overlap for us is that they usually have that training Wednesday morning.
right.
Yep.
And if we need
Well,
to,
can we do it Tuesday?
we could do it Tuesday morning if that works for everybody on the 9th.
That would be November?
December 9th, Tuesday,
December.
8 o'clock. We could check to see if that works for everybody.
I'm fine with
Yeah, the week's kind of shot with meetings by a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Chuck, does that work okay for you?
Yep, absolutely.
Dennis is checking. Dave, Michael?
Yeah.
Yes, that'll work.
That'd be the next thing, yeah.
Okay.
But if we got a majority of the board anyway can make that Tuesday the 9th work, then Wendy can check on the room. And
Do we have a second choice if the room is booked?
we have used the little room upstairs.
That's not televised though.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's great.
What-
City commission.
Would the, the previous week, I'm out Wednesday, Thursday, but I could maybe make Tuesday. But if it's booked on a Tuesday, is that a recurring meeting? Well, then, previous Tuesday should be
I
open.
can't do that first week, I'll never get everything together
Yeah.
by then.
So you prefer later,
Yes.
What about the 16th?
or the 17th?
17th?
17th.
Wednesday
yeah.
or 17th?
17th works for me, so,
Doesn't work for me.
okay, so that's plan B then, would be the 17th. Okay,
I think we have a better shot at, well, Wednesday than a Tuesday, but we'll see.
okay. So everybody's in agreement, Tuesday the 9th will be the first at 8 AM, be the first choice if the room's available. If not, we'll look at the 17th at 8 AM here.
And
Okay.
just FYI, I did this on my phone, so I may have sent out a notice to you already, but if it gets moved, I'll renotice it. Because I sent out notice for this meeting for my, just information, so.
Yep.
I may have just sent one out on my phone, I've done that before. So if it gets moved, I will,
Just got it.
I will
Looks
revise
like
it,
it, yeah.
okay? Bad habit, sorry.
Okay. Very good. Dennis, you also had an update on the water users?
Yeah, and just in conjunction with that, the Water User Convention, we just got notices for registration, just so that can get on your radar too. But we got notice, we had a Water Users Board meeting about a week ago, and prior to that, we had gotten notice that the state is, they had a membership in the Water Users Organization in the amount of $10,000 per year, and then they also gave supported the Irrigation Association in the amount of $50,000 per year. And so, you know, those are separate budgets, but they have some ripple effects. Just so everybody's aware, the state is no longer going to, you know, be a member, quote unquote, pay those membership dues. They felt it, you know, offered some conflicts of interest and maybe not appropriate use of government funds, and so, which are, I think, are legitimate concerns.
Mm-hmm.
So net result is the water users will have that much less money going forward from that source at least, but you might see some minor increases in registration dues for individual boards. They'll accommodate. So it's not a death knell by any stretch. I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. The water Department of Water Resources was very supportive of the efforts done by the water users, so they will look for opportunities to cost share specific items. And in fact, I think the water users are going to put in a cost share request for support during the convention, for certain portions of the convention this year. So just wanted to make you guys aware of that. We might see, I think our dues are 675, or maybe they just went up, but they might go up again,
Sure.
a minor amount.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Dennis.
It might have some impact on the joint boards as well, because they
Sure.
were having a little income from
Yep.
that. And are they thinking then they're a little more project orientated then?
Yeah, rather than just a generic dues, let's justify it by the content of what you're supporting. So, like the Water Users Convention, for instance, there's education that goes along with that, associated with water. So I think that's a legitimate, maybe more legitimate in their minds at least, use of their dollars that are available to them, rather than just a blanket. You know, if you recall, there was some legislation, the last session that got presented, and water users contributed towards some lobbying efforts, and so I don't know if that prompted that discussion. I don't know or not, but
I could see that.
Yeah, I could see that.
certainly
yeah.
it certainly can be a gray area at best for them. So.
The agency's providing money to an organization that's lobbying for money for the agency.
Yeah.
Circular.
Yeah.
So, Dennis, apologize, I was unable to make that meeting, but the conversation then led to potentially looking to the DWR to support other particular elements that are not membership. Is that a fair statement? In other words, we have an educational program, we're bringing in a speaker from somewhere, that there might be, that type of sponsorship. So you're not paying the funds to membership, but you're paying it to a particular purpose. They mentioned projects as a specific, but does projects mean educational opportunities?
I think it does. I think
Okay.
it does. Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. Appreciate that.
We'll find
Thanks.
out. Like I said, I think there is a cost share request going in for this upcoming convention and various line items of that convention
Yep.
will be part of that cost share request. And so proof will be in the pudding. Either
Yep.
they'll say yes or no.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so,
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Dennis. Anything else on that topic? If not, we can move on to the second page of the agenda, item 12, just some additional correspondence and information if you so desire. There's 4 plats there that are listed. If you want to reach out to Wendy and get additional information on any of those, feel free. If no topic there is additional discussion, we can move on to item 13, approval of this month's bills.
Mr. Chairman, board members, on page 24 is a summary of the bills. As you noticed, Wendy sent out an updated agenda book yesterday. And part of that driver was just there was a pretty good influx of additional bills that we thought we should get taken care of right away here. So just make sure you're looking at the newest form of the agenda book. One note is that in the details of the agenda book, the detailed bills, you'll see one from Cowboys that is not on this summary list, and that's because we, through the somewhat snafu of issuing checks that weren't to the right name, and they ultimately got cashed anyway, and so they basically owed us money before this invoice came in for this month. So it's there. We should be all square, I believe, after this cycle. But with that, I guess I would move for approval of the payment of bills in the amount of $158,827.34.
Okay, and a motion by Manager Reap and a second by Manager Jones to approve this month's bills in the amount of $158,827.34. Any discussions, questions, comments on that? Not hearing any. Wendy, take roll call vote, please.
Manager Mitchell,
Yes.
Manager Reap,
Yes.
Manager Jones,
Yes.
Manager Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Landenberger.
Yes, motion passes. Bills will be paid.
Mr. Chairman, one clarification. Wendy, I need validation of payment for the Braun Intertech to submit to the grant application for the HMGP. And I'll need verification of this current invoice for Houston that goes to the Apple Creek watershed projects, whether it's a canceled check or however you want to do that. But I'll need those for the reimbursement request.
Makes sense. Okay.
Thank you. And I believe they sent one recently that said the total, and I think those have already been paid. So, okay.
And the one that we just got was the one that's in the packet today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That, just to clarify.
You can shoot me
Same
an
one.
email of what you absolutely need, and I will get it to you.
I will do that. Okay, thank you.
Say, Michael, just seeing the USGS Apple Creek stream gauge on the bill just kind of, had me think of that stream gauge area, and there was the issue, and we were reaching out to the state to see if we could determine who.
Yeah, I sent a note, that's the sheet pile weir that's out
Yeah.
there. I did send a note back out to Karen Goff, and she's gonna look into it. She says she requested staff look at, but hadn't heard anything from them.
Okay.
So, yeah, she is looking into that again.
Well, that was never officially a complaint, it was more or less.
More than an inquiry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then, like I said, I had the call from the USGS, and they said it does somewhat benefit them, but they never put it in, but in the records, the state says that they own it, and they don't. So.
The
at
state
this-
says USGS?
Yeah, the state assigned it to the USGS, but they said it's not ours,
Okay.
and we don't know who put it in, so those small dams are out there.
Yeah.
By statute, I believe that small dams are assigned oftentimes to the water resource districts.
Right.
So I don't know where one's going to go, but,
I think I know where this is going.
yeah. Just saying. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, moving on, I guess, we will now move into our executive session. So we'll entertain a motion to hold an executive session pursuant to North Dakota Century Code 44-04-19.2 to discuss negotiation strategy with our attorney related to easement acquisitions in the McDowell Dam project.
So
The
moved.
board has already provided notice of this executive meeting in its agenda for this month.
So moved.
Okay, got a motion by Manager Jones,
I'll second.
and second by Manager Reap to move in the executive session, so we will do that now.